Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. I could not be more excited about this particular episode. So I have three fabulous women with me today, and these three fabulous women all have very different stories, but all four of us have a couple things in common. Things like Audra and I got our doctorate at the same place. I actually was one of her professors, which is ironic, but then we both have our daughters here with us to share kind of how we've all gotten past imposter syndrome, which I think is pretty cool. Before we get too far into things, make sure you're following this podcast. That's super important. And make sure you're sharing this with friends, because I don't think there's a person on this planet who hasn't faced this particular issue. So I have with me today Chloe McMullen, Audra Lewis-Hoesch, and Carmella Dolde. And they're all fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to start with Carmella. Carmella is lots of things, but specifically, she is a words are hard, veterinary assistant. She is an animal lover. This is a fun one, top cookie seller in the Girl Scouts for over a decade, which is impressive. She is currently studying cybersecurity, but she is an artist, and she's a guest here today. And then I have her beautiful mother, Dr. Audra Lewis-Hoesch, and Audra is a self-proclaimed workaholic. She is learning to say no, not real well just yet. She loves to be on her boat. She loves to go to concerts. Why are words so hard today? Concerts. She loves Pittsburgh sports, and she's a closet soap opera watcher, which I think could be its own opportunity right in and of itself. And then my sweet daughter, Chloe McMullen. Chloe is so many things. She is fierce. She is loyal. She is hardworking, but she's also a kindergarten teacher, which every kindergarten teacher is hardworking. That needs to go on record. She is a dog mom to Hank and Finn, but an animal lover of all. She is the most amazing daughter, a lifelong learner, and a beach lover. And this is our panel today, ladies. Welcome to Productive Joy.
Hi. What a cute opportunity. I like how you said, try to say conferences instead of concerts, because I'm a workaholic. I do love those too.
Yes, words were not coming out. We're recording this in the evening. I think maybe my words are just jumbled. I don't know. But today, you beautiful ladies are going to get a chance to kind of walk us through a journey. And this is just meant to give people a shot at B12, some ideas, and some ways that you can get past where you currently are into where you're meant to be. So I'd like to start with that question. Why don't you tell us, each of you, a little bit about what's gotten you to where you are? And you can choose any part of your story. It doesn't mean that you have to start with the baby child that you once were, but you could. Or maybe it's just an experience that's brought you to this space where you are currently. So Carmella, I'm going to put you on the spot and start with you, my love.
Oh, Lord, so what brought me to where I am today? Wow. Definitely, it has to be the push from my mother, honestly, with as much as of a workaholic that she is. She also has pushed me into that route also. I kind of struggle, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of struggle with my self-worth a lot, and my mom kind of constantly keeps me reminded what I'm like capable of and really kind of pushes me to my limits. But yeah.
All right, good job, Mom. And good job, Carmella, for recognizing that push is out of love and out of meanness, right? Chloe, why don't you go next? What's kind of gotten you to where you are?
So, as a kindergarten teacher, I did not originally plan to go that route. I loved education and school. I used to teach my American Girl dolls and grade their papers. So, it's always something that I had dreamed about, but I unfortunately was bullied in school and lost a lot of that self-worth, and I didn't really think I would be good at it, and I didn't think that I had something to offer in that way. So when I went to college, I chose psychology because I heard that it could go a lot of different ways, and so I chose the safe path instead of what I had been dreaming about since I was in kindergarten. So then when I graduated from college and I started applying to jobs, my mom also pushed me to go into education. And even though I was petrified to apply, I ended up getting a job at my elementary school teaching kindergarten with some of my former teachers. And it's my dream job. And I'm definitely not an expert on how to get past imposter syndrome, but I think that I've come a long way and learned a lot about myself and what I have to offer. So,
Well said.
Chloe, how do you always bring like you girls bring tears to my eyes without like just being just honest in general? So
Well, and Audra, it's a tough act to follow. And I know, I guarantee one of the four of us will cry at least once, and you
okay, good.
I do. And that's okay. That's the realness of this, right? And when you actually
Right.
have the opportunity to share with the world your child, your beautiful daughter, both of you, and let people know that we've all been through some stuff, but here we are on the other side of it, learning, right? That is just such a cool thing. So, Audra, tell us a little bit about your story because you have a good one too.
Right. So, but you know, it's funny. I was like Chloe. I did my stuffed animals and would take the extra papers home and teach my animals as a little girl. I'm a first generation teacher, college student, you know, whatever, like graduate in my family. Women in my family just got married and had babies. That was what I was told to do from as a young girl. Didn't really know what I wanted. And I had a very different vision of the way the world was than my family, which caused them to kick me out at the age of 15 and a half. And I really never had, like, I knew what I wanted to be, sort of. Still kind of don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But I always just knew I wanted to go to school. I knew that was going to be like the route of at least something different, right? So, like, mindset, perseverance. I always feel like when someone tells me I can't, that makes me try harder because, like, it's from an unhealthy place of like, I'm going to prove you wrong kind of thing. And all of my over accomplishments come from that same unhealthy place. And studying through my dissertation journey, I really learned to start talking about the hard stuff. And I was a little bit more open about some of these things. Like Chloe was mentioning about being bullied and how like our kids or students or people in our life carry that trauma all the way into childhood or into adulthood. And we make every decision from our adulthood based upon some of that trauma. You don't even realize it. So when I started having some of these honest conversations and telling people my story of homelessness and struggles and whatever, and people were like, you really need to share this more and be more open about it. And I felt like once I got my doctorate, I have doctor before my name. I still can't believe it, but whatever.
Me neither. And it's been since 2017. Like I'm same.
Yeah. And well, now people listen to what I have to say and they want to hear what I have to say. And so I felt like I could be more open and honest about it and sharing that the more you talk about it is the only way you get over it. We all have such trauma. Like there's something that in your life that you've gone through that affects your confidence and your self-belief and your self-worth. But you find your people and you have your support network and you have those honest conversations. And I really feel like that was my key. And that's why I do what I do. And I founded Period Zero so I can build that space for people to build their confidence and have those honest conversations and be that mentor and help people achieve their goals of what they've set out to do.
All right. And put a pin in Period Zero because we're definitely going to make sure that everybody knows what that is in just a little bit. But I want you to hold that for a second. So, Chloe, I saw you nodding your head when she said, talk about the hard stuff, right? Like learning to actually bring up the things that you're struggling with. What was making you agree with that statement?
I think I, my whole life, have thought that everyone else has it together and that everyone else's life is perfect and comparing myself. And so when I was nodding, because I think it's important to share those things with other people that you're going through, because otherwise nobody knows, and it's so isolating to not share those feelings. And I've learned a lot about the people that I work with by sharing my own problems and my own issues and struggles and asking questions and trying to get to know each other, because otherwise you think that, oh, they've got it together, they think you've got it together, and everyone's just not in a good place. So
Yeah. It's a lot like wearing a mask, right? And when you wear a mask, eventually it becomes hard to breathe. And so learning to take off the mask, learning to be vulnerable and honest, that's not easy. So Carmella, my question for you is kind of adjacent, right? So you guys are squarely Gen Zers, right?
Yeah, I'm Gen Z.
I am guessing, Audra, that you are a millennial. Are you officially a millennial? Or are you?
No, I'm like,
She's Gen X.
I'm
You're a Gen X too? Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm the last great generation.
Yeah, we are old is what we are, but
Yes.
so Gen X versus Gen Z, that's who we have in this room. Chloe just mentioned that she's learning to talk about the hard things and figure that out. As a Gen Zer, where are the obstacles with that? And how do you overcome them? Meaning, where are the obstacles in being vulnerable and honest and sharing things?
So with Gen Z, especially in Gen Z, I notice a lot of people definitely like to focus on mental health. And they talk about, oh, mental health matters. Mental health is like such a great thing. Like if you're struggling, you have someone you can talk to. But the reality of the situation is when you struggle with mental health and you go to these people, it's all a facade, is what I've noticed. There's not really many people that you can really go to about mental health issues other than professional therapists, because a lot of people like to use that just against you, is what I noticed, in which also really affects with, imposter syndrome and, especially, being bullied and stuff. Because a lot of that bullying, I was bullied K through 8. I always struggled with making friends and everything. Like my mom could tell you K through 8, I pretty much just stayed at home. Like I didn't really go out much. But through what I've noticed is these people that are that are bullying you are going through a lot of the same situations that you are, and they're projecting their problems, their insecurities, their emotions onto you to try to make you feel even worse about yourself.
I'm so glad you know that. And I hope that you will hold on to that, because the reality is hurt people hurt people. And when you're being bullied, it hurts like crazy, but that's because that person is hurting too. And I know, Chloe, you and I have had so many conversations about, okay, but what are they thinking, right? Like what's happening in them that's causing them to treat you this way or to act this way or whatever. Doesn't mean it's easy, girls, just to be clear. Now, Audra, as a fellow Gen Xer, nobody talked about emotions at all. We were not allowed to have them. Basically, suck it up, buttercup was the way that we were raised. So how has that come into play as you've raised your daughter? Because clearly she knows better than what we were taught.
Well, for me, I really tried to not be the same mom, which I was raised by. I'm not saying that was perfect in any way.
Nobody is. It's okay.
Right. But sometimes when I start recognizing some of the things I was doing, I was like, oh, I got to stop that. Oh, I really tried to be the best mom for her and that's what I love about Gen Zers. I love that Gen Zers are curious and ask questions and basically fight back, because we were told to sit down, be quiet, and do as you're told, because of the type of schooling and the parent, like how the culture was of the time. And I mean, even Carmella and I've had our back and forth for sure. I don't as her teenage years, and she didn't think I understood, but I really did, because she thought I had this perfect life. Like, oh, you were popular in school, but I really wasn't. I don't know. But I just really try to support her. And well, like how you talked in those conversations, right? It's very comfortable.
Yes, and I think what you're saying certainly played out in our house too. I think one of the ways that we suffer from imposter syndrome is watching other people, right? And seeing other people and thinking, like Chloe, you said, everybody's got it together but me, right? Clearly they've all got, no one, and I do mean no one had it together. But the other thing that I've noticed, and girls, I need you, Carmella and Chloe, to correct me if I'm wrong on this one, is because social media is what it is, and everybody's role is right in front of you at all times, you have even more in your face that everybody's got it together and you don't. Bigger than that, you also see your parents, us, and think, I'm supposed to be there. Is there a little bit of that? And can you walk us through how that feels?
Chloe, do you want to start? Because I definitely have some comments on this, but I'm going to give you a chance to speak.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think social media definitely plays a big part in that imposter syndrome and the comparison, and even people that you don't know and wouldn't normally have access to, you can see their lives and or what you think their lives are like. And I also think like what you said about your parents, like for me, I'm very close with my parents, and so I'm around them all the time and I'm seeing them succeed and just, in my opinion, just succeed and kill it at everything. And so I'm thinking like this is where I need to be and what I should be doing, and it just feels so far away from where I am. So yeah, I think social media and also the family members and parents and just even just like your friends, just people around you that you think you need to be where they are.
So, Carmella, before you jump in, because I really want to hear what you have to say, Chloe, what advice do you have for the parents listening? Because a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are in Audra and I's age bracket, and they need to know what to do in that situation.
I don't know that I have really an answer, but I think just showing us what you experienced at our age, because we only know like what we've been alive for and what we've seen. So I think opening that door to have those conversations, like here's where I was when I was 24, whatever age, and what I was struggling with, and opening up about the good parts, but also the hard parts, because yes, things are different now, but also like a lot of the problems are the same. So I think just that open conversation, because we have this narrative in our head that our parents have it all together and they always have, and so that's
We don't, Chloe. And when I was your age at 24, I gave birth to Carmella, and I experienced my first year teaching being a single mom with a newborn. So
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was 24 when I had them, and I had two at once. So yeah, I know. Yeah, so Chloe got all of me not knowing anything about anything. And so yeah, I didn't even know what I didn't know. Okay, so Carmella, what would you add to what Chloe said?
So social media definitely has a big play on imposter syndrome. Like, so my Instagram, pretty much everyone that I went to high school with, even if I had like even a hi, hello in the hallway, like I have them on Instagram. So my Instagram, all I see constantly are all of the people that I've graduated with, who are like now just graduating this year, everybody that I knew from high school. I have a friend who's moving all the way to Thailand to go to school. There's multiple people that I know that are engaged, about to get married, or getting married. Keep in mind, I'm only 20. So if that puts anything in perspective. And like, a lot of them already have kids and everything. And it's like, Loki, I was like thinking about like making me think, I'm like, is this where I'm like supposed to be? Or is this like, or just people are getting ahead of themselves? And I'm not gonna lie, like there have been nights where I've like just sat and just thought about that. And so I definitely think social media has a big play on that imposter syndrome. Like, I'm 20, I'm a freshman in college. I took a bit of a gap, year to work on my mental health and stuff, because moving 1,000 miles away from home in a place where you lived for like the past 10 years, coming back to this, it takes a toll on you. You don't realize it takes a toll on you until like you're up here. But yeah, that's what I wanted to add. You mentioned that social, I immediately want to jump straight on that. It's fun.
Maybe my advice would be to unfollow some of those. With animals. You guys love animals. Just look at the cute dog videos all day.
Yeah, but that definitely had me thinking. And when you were talking about advice for parents, especially from someone who's Gen Z to a Gen X, be vulnerable, be open, especially with everything that you've struggled with. That's like, I'm not gonna lie, that's like the one thing that if I could just hear my mom's obviously very much opened up more about it now, but I'm not gonna lie, when we were younger and I was really going through this stuff, she kind of was very closed off about all the stuff that she was going through. I don't blame her. There's a lot of stuff that I'm still pretty closed off on that I'm still working with through my therapist. But being able to hear that your parents or even people older than you are like even somewhat in the same place where you were at your current age, and hearing that, yeah, I had no clue where I was in life. I don't know what I was doing, but I was still living. I was still trying to just make it through. Like, honestly, hearing that from elders is probably like the best thing possible.
Well, and I hear honesty, I hear vulnerability. Audra, what would you add from the mama perspective and or any direction you wish to go?
Right. I agree with Carmella, and she's right. I told you I became a better mom as we gone by. And studying through my dissertation really was a self-awareness, self-learning journey. Like that whole process, the stuff that you go through. And so that made me start to have some of these conversations with Carmella. And obviously, as she's gotten older, it's a different relationship, right? I can't tell my 15-year-old some of the things I was doing in college, right?
You can, but then you can't say no.
Responsibility. Yes, right. But I would tell her, I'm glad I didn't. You and I grew up in a time where not everything we ever did was documented, right?
Yes.
Thank goodness. And that's what, like with Gen Z, think about your biggest embarrassing moment in middle school or in high school, right? We lived it for 30 seconds and it stayed in our head. And it's still in our head, right? But it wasn't in front of our face over and over and over. And I think that does play a big key, like with the mental health and the social media and the impact of our Gen Zers, Well, but I don't want to discount when Carmella just said, oh, I just took like a gap year. Carmella was working at the University of Pittsburgh. She was working in animal research. Like she was doing like life. I mean, she went straight to work. She was using her vet tech license and she was doing hard work and made a decision that, she wants to pivot into something else, kind of like how Chloe thought she started with psychology and now she's in education. So I'm not sure what age Chloe made that decision, but to start working.
Well, Chloe, you want to talk about your path?
Yeah, so I went to Florida State University for college, and my freshman year was 2019. So fall of 2019, I had a normal semester of school. And then obviously COVID was March of 2020. So I didn't really ever have a normal college experience. And so for me, I was not in a good place mentally going into college, and then COVID on top of that, and not really making friends, and all of the factors added into like I had zero self-worth coming out of college. I ended up graduating a year early, so I was 21 when I graduated, and because I just needed to be done with it, I needed to close that chapter and be in a different environment. And so when I graduated, I started looking for jobs, and I had no clue. I studied psychology, but I can't say I learned anything.
You learned a lot more than you realized you did.
Right, by the things that you talk about.
But I didn't feel equipped to go into a job in that field. And so I started looking at jobs and didn't really know what to do. And then I struggled with an eating disorder from 14 to 22. And it was really, really severe at that point. So I started an eating disorder treatment at that time. And I'm also applying to be a teacher at that time. And I ended up in a situation where I would say it was an emotionally abusive situation with the principal and assistant principal at the high school. And so I ended up having to quit that. And then I was completely lost because I thought, oh, I figured it out. I'm going into education. And then the imposter syndrome was insane at that school, mainly because of the people that I was around. They fed into it and treated me like a child, and they made me feel stupid. And if I asked a question, it was just brushed off. But they told me everything I was doing wrong. And so I ended up starting my master's a few months later at National Louis University, where you want to went. And then I started working as a nanny and just kind of trying to figure myself out. And then I started applying to schools, and I applied to, I think, 12 schools. And by the 12th rejection, I was done. I was ready to just go take an easier job, an easier path. And all those voices telling me, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're too young, you're too this, you don't have experience, whatever. And then I ended up applying to one last school, and they hired me within 5 minutes of my interview and said, we've never met anyone like you, especially your age, and all the things happened right at the right time, and I couldn't ask for a better school and a better environment to be in. And I've just learned and grown so much being at that school and kind of forcing myself into situations that make me uncomfortable. Because if I hadn't done that, I probably would have ended up doing some random job that I didn't actually care.
Right.
So,
And Chloe, I'm really sorry that that was your first experience in education. I that just breaks my heart to hear. But I'm so glad that you didn't give up. And when you were talking about all those rejections, we're gonna have 1,000 rejections. It's in that you're building that confidence to know. But I want to circle back to Carmella, because I think everything you talked about between mental health, your personal struggle, COVID, rejection, not feeling good enough to be in a field or a place, especially when you work at a top-notch university. And she's had a lot of that same stuff. So I'm going to pass it back to her and ask her to share her path.
Oh Lord, my path. Where do you want me to start? Because there's a lot of stuff that Chloe was talking about that I'm trying so hard not to interject.
Before you start, I do want to interject and get our listeners to be thinking about the humans that they're surrounded with. These are two specific examples of what's going on in the minds of 20 to 24-year-olds, right? But this is happening all around you all the time. And so I want you to listen with that heart of what can I do in this space to make sure that the people around me know that they are worthy. So go ahead, Carmella.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I went to Tampa Bay Technical High School. I went through the veterinary assistance program, got my CVA in the state of Florida and everything. But I graduated a bit early. COVID, I know you were talking about quarantine happened for you when you were in college, Chloe. Me personally, I think the timing of COVID was just right for me with everything that was going on, because COVID and quarantine, all that stuff didn't hit till my sophomore year of high school. So while I was in high school and going through all this COVID quarantine and stuff, I kind of started throwing myself into the workforce during the summers and everything on top of school, because I was 15. I needed something to do with my time. I'm a very busybody, and I get it from my mother. I'm not gonna lie. I'm always needing to do something. I'm always needing to work, always working on something. But once I graduated high school and I moved up here when I was 17. But I moved up here by myself. My mom helped me pack up all my bags, and I moved in with my grandmother. She didn't move up here until 6 months after I did, right? Something around there.
Yeah, 8 months. 8 months or so.
Yeah, 8 months or so. So when I first moved up here, I was working at an emergency veterinary hospital, and the culture up here compared down south is drastically different. And also the same with educational opportunities. Like, there's a lot more educational opportunities in Florida than there is in PA. Like, I graduated with my high school diploma and a whole bunch of certifications underneath my belt. They don't do that up here. So when I started applying for jobs and interviews, I got rejected a whole bunch. And when I came across the veterinary hospital that I was working in, yes, they hired me. Yes, they were excited to have me on their team. But also, I don't know what it is with the medical field in general. Human and veterinary medicine is what I've noticed. But it is a very competitive workforce than for something that's supposed to be working on collaboration more than anything. So
Mostly because of imposter syndrome, if I'm honest, because they're nurses. They tend to have a lot of infighting because they don't want to admit when they don't know something. So just know that you're not the only ones that feel all of these things.
Yeah. So while I was working there, keep in mind I was 17. All of my coworkers who went through medical school, they went to the veterinary schools. So once they graduated finally with all of their stuff to be able to work in the workforce, they were maybe like late 20s, early 30s. So majority of my coworkers they all had kids my age. Like they were just shocked that I was so young working in that field. And with that, they saw me as competition. So I got pushed and prodded around like a lot. It was very hard for me. I was being promoted and demoted over and over and over again, which yes, it was a very unstable workplace.
Toxic culture.
Yeah, well, and we talk a lot about that on Productive Joy because the whole is for work and fun to be together and not mutually exclusive. That wasn't the case.
I don't know if you know what a veterinary assistant does, but if it has anything to do in the name, I am supposed to be assisting the veterinarians and the vet techs. So I'm constantly walking around. Keep in mind, I worked in emergency medicine, so I was seeing a lot of crazy, crazy cases. I'm always asking, hey, is there anything I can help with? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? I did a lot of restraining while we're administering medications and stuff. No, we're okay. We're fine. I get pulled into my supervisor's office constantly. Carmella, how come you don't know how to do this, this, and this yet? And I don't ever see you working with anybody. You're always in the back doing the laundry. I lay it out on the table for them. I tell them, I asked everybody if they need help. They tell me that they don't need me anywhere. So I go find more side work just to get done. But that caused so many issues that I just ended up leaving that workforce, which started making me think about different career opportunities with
I see that parallel here. There's a
That's very parallel. That's why it's so funny.
Yeah, this is why I was really trying not to interject for Chloe because I was going through a lot of the similar things, and with the veterinary, just that whole thing, it kind of it really pushed me to the side. I just picked up I was working at Bob Evans as a hostess and a server, just making money, just trying to figure out what exactly, is this a route that I want to continue on? Is there different branches of a veterinary field? Because all I knew is I didn't want to work in emergency medicine. I didn't want to work in a public hospital clinic setting again. My mom started working at the University of Pittsburgh, Greensburg, and she sent me this link for an animal care technician job, which is pretty much everything that I was doing, but I didn't have to talk to nobody. I wasn't interacting with the public. I was just in a room all day with animals, just taking care of them, making sure they had food, making sure they had water, no one was hurt, and if they were hurt, to write up health reports to make sure that, they were taken care of. Working there, wow, I went through major, major burnout.
Interesting.
To put in perspective, I had to take care of about 3,000 animals every single day in 7.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
I had to make sure everybody had food, water, a clean cage, everything. So with that and me going through burnout, and I sadly ended up getting laid off, just like my mom. Literally, we got laid off the day, right after one another.
Oh, geez. That was a happy day.
Yeah. As much as I'm an animal lover as I am, I don't think that I want to do this professionally. It's in my heart. I'm a very, my mom can tell you, I have such a weird connection with animals. I love animals.
I think you and Chloe would really get along well.
I know.
Here's what I hear in you. I hear in you, both of you, perseverance. I hear thoughtful approaches to next steps. And I hear a recognition of just because I'm doing it now doesn't mean I have to do it forever. And I think that's what I want our listeners to walk away with today is that wherever you are right this minute, you might not feel equipped to do what you're doing. And that is mostly in your head, right? And there are opportunities to push past where you are. So I have to ask my favorite question because, and unfortunately, I mean, we could talk forever, but people aren't going to listen forever. So I'm going to ask my favorite question and then I'm going to ask some rapid fire questions. But I want you to think about my favorite question, which I haven't said yet, but you'll hear in a second, through the lens of where you are right now. Right? Like, so what you're doing right now, whether that's personally or professionally, but if you had to describe productive joy, how would you describe it? And Audra, we're going to start with you.
Well, for me, productive joy is like where work doesn't really feel like work, right? You are producing and you are getting things done, but it doesn't really feel like it because it gives you like internal joy. It makes you feel like which what you get out of bed to go do every single day, and it puts a smile on your face, and it doesn't really feel like work. I think probably Chloe might feel that now in her new role at this new school. It's like it gives you like meaning, impact, and that's what is the driver for, at least for me. Like when I feel like I've accomplished something or I help somebody, well, my day's good, you know?
And you feel tired but not drained, right? Like
Yes.
there's a big difference. All right.
Difference.
Well, Carmella, what would you say is your definition of productive joy?
Well, my mom took the words straight out of my mouth because I was going to say, honestly, I was going to say it's where work doesn't feel like you're actually working and you like whatever you're doing is emotionally empowering. You're getting some kind of gain from it. You're like, you don't feel like that you're going to get like burnt out and you're unhappy with what you're doing. I mean, that's why I decided to go back to school for cybersecurity. As much as I love animals, I love computers and I love puzzles as more. So
there you go.
I feel like I get more of that productive joy out of that than what I did in the veterinary field, because the veterinary field also has the highest suicide rate out of all careers.
It does. Well, here's what's cool is that every experience that you're having, all of you right now, they compound to make you into the human you're supposed to be. So Chloe, the really awful school experience that you had has made you better in the really good school experience that you have. And Carmella, the really bad experience that you had in the with animals, you'll still use the skills that you learned in that job in cybersecurity, believe it or not. It happens that way. All right, so Chloe, what is your definition of productive joy?
For me, it's accomplishing something and you feel fulfilled from it and you have a sense of purpose. For me, with teaching, I want to be the kindergarten teacher that I wish that I had, or just teacher in general that I wish that I had. I had some teachers that did not have productive joy in their job, and so you could tell they were tired and they were burnt out and they weren't interested in it. And I think people who do have productive joy, you can see it and you can see that they're doing something they love and they feel valued and they feel empowered and excited to do it. And then yes, maybe you're physically tired when you go home, but you are fired up for what you're doing. So that's mine.
I love it. So work doesn't feel like work and it's fun and you feel fulfilled and have a sense of purpose. Those are pretty beautiful definitions. Go ahead, Audra.
They really are. And Chloe, when you were talking about like the teacher you wish you had, that's how I operated my whole educational career. I always, because I was experiencing homelessness, right, and food insecurity and all these things. I didn't even know what these things were. I was 15. What do I know about that? I always wanted to be the teacher that I never had, or be that person in the school, that safe person that everyone can come to. So I really connect when you say that. And then with circling back to parenting, because we're all parenting, right? I wanted to be the mom, Carmella, I wish I had.
And I guarantee you were, because look at this beautiful young woman that you created. I know you're having a problem and I'm having the same proud moment because these young women have overcome adversity, right? And they're on the other side of it for this time, right? And it will probably happen again, but they're going to have the skills to navigate that next version and the version after that and the version after that. So for our listeners, I hope you've been paying attention to the realities of what's going on in everybody's head. It's not just our heads. I mean, it just so happens that we have a lot of genetics alike in this space and a lot of experiences alike in this space. But we're examples of what this looks like all over the place. So if you're listening right now and you have a human in your life, chances are good they have had some of these thoughts. They have had some of these, I'm not good enough. There's no way I can. And it's up to us to help build those people up to let them know that actually, no, you can, and you're going to, and it's going to be a beautiful thing for sure.
When you get across of it, for sure. And I do want to validate that because I speak a lot around the imposter syndrome. And through my research, I found out, like through medical journals and such, there's been studies that say that 70% of our population actually suffer with imposter syndrome. And it's the thing that nobody talks about because you're so scared of being judged and you're so scared of like what people might think of you. And that's why it's so important to have that safe human that you can talk to. And the more that and then sharing your story and your journey of like how you got past it helps others. And it's really going to give you that productive joy and making you feel like you helped somebody or made their day better that day.
It is indeed. So ladies, we have to wrap this up, but the only way we can wrap it up is through rapid fire questions. Okay. So rapid fire means you get a quick answer, but I have really fun questions to ask you. Okay. So I'll go in a different order each time. So you don't know who's going to go first and can't keep answers that way. But Audra, we're going to start with you. And this time we're going to do Audra, Carmella, Chloe. And the question is, what is your definition of fun?
Fun is just something where I can the plan is no plan. That is fun to me. And it's very hard for me to do as an over planner and OCD person. So about it to Chloe.
Oh, wait, Carmella first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So fun for me is just with how much that I work and how much I study and everything. Fun for me is just when I can just turn my brain off and I have a group of people that I could just turn my brain off. Doing something fun, something that gives me like that dopamine.
Yeah.
But yeah. You want to go ahead, Chloe?
Yeah. For me, fun, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just feeling comfortable to be 100% yourself and be authentic.
I love it.
Nice.
Okay, then
I love it.
The next question. This time we're going to do Chloe, Audra, Carmella. Chloe, how do you know you're showing up as your authentic self?
For me, I'm a very anxious person, so I tend to replay conversations. And if I'm being my authentic self, I don't need to do that. And I don't think of, oh, I should have said this. I should have done this. I just know that I was who I am.
That's beautiful. I love that. Okay. Wait, Audra's next.
And for me, it's just giving it my 100% and not second guessing myself, and know that I know I gave 100% of my best effort on this task, even if it's something that I feel like I'm never, even getting my doctorate was going to happen. Just do it, and you'll eventually get there.
Right.
So,
Love it. Okay, Carmella.
So for me, being my authentic self, I follow through with whatever my gut and my heart is telling me. Because I also, as Chloe, I'm a very anxious person. I overthink everything. So just try not to focus on whatever's going on up here and focusing on, whatever I know is true to myself. I just go right off.
Perfect. Good answers. Y'all are nailing it. Okay, this one's going to be Carmella, Chloe, Audra. And the question is, how do you channel your best self on your worst days?
I surround myself with good people. I surround myself with my community that people that I know that are always going to support me and who are always going to be there for me, just to give me that reminder of, hey, you're going in the right direction. You might be stuck here now, but there's always better coming.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, I agree, Carmella, with you are who you hang with and their attitude rubs off on you. But also for me, not in a motivational poster way, but to remember your why. Why am I doing this? And And for me, it's because I'm trying to be the person I wish I was when I was in kindergarten, or when I was a child. I'm trying to be the person that I dreamed about being. So even when it feels like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this again tomorrow? I just try to remember that I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm who I wished I had been.
You're doing a beautiful job. I have friends.
It's always so hard to follow Chloe.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I feel like I can't even in the same room with Chloe sometimes. She's so amazing. For me, like Chloe, I felt like a lot like you on that answer. The thing we were talking about motivational in space, right? I think Carmella would probably tell you she kind of knew what kind of day I had. We'd always drive to work, even like if I don't like I'm mentally exhausted, it's testing, it's whatever. I would always be playing some really fun music on the way to work, inspirational things that just spoke to my heart and would get me motivated to continue doing what I needed to do. But if I like got in the car and I just turned the radio off and said, I just need 100% quiet. I just need quiet and silence so that I could just decompress. But if I was quiet, then she knew it may have been a really bad day for me because I just couldn't even, as if. But then but then I would be back to my music self, and because music makes me feel good. And so when you guys are talking about the person that you surround yourself with, I feel like for me it was like the things I was listening to, the words talking to my brain to help give me that self-talk to feel that self-worth and that confidence that I needed constantly. And then I had posters and I had little nuggets around the house and like mirrors and stuff too. So.
You have the external and the internal to remind you to get it together, right? So I understand. And not in a motivational poster kind of way, Chloe. I completely agree with that statement. So before I ask my final question, I did mention that we were going to talk about period zero because period zero is a pretty special thing. So can you give me like the 30-second version so that when people hear about it, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of it?
So period zero is the place that I built for everyone. I kind of took all my life experiences and built this safe place so that you can have a mentor, you can learn the financial literacy piece that you weren't getting. Skills, I call it period zero because it's like the 0 hour before things that the school policy doesn't support, right? So leadership development, that emotional intelligence, that self-worth, those things that we're all talking about. And the third piece is the digital platform. And Chloe, I think you'd probably really relate to this. I'm building a space where you can prove you have the relevant skills, not just because you went to school. So I'm bringing the skills framework of the informational age, which is otherwise called Sophia, to the United States. It's kind of like how everything's done elsewhere. And I'm bringing a common language to government, schools, and employers. So when they say they teach leadership, schools say we teach leadership, and kids do like a little activity and they kind of never talk about it again. And an employer wants to know, can you lead a team? And those things, that's the gap, right? That's the gap between what you're doing in school and what the real world demands. And so period zero is here to fill that gap and help you get that job you want, build your confidence, and then give you the receipts, the provable digiling badge, the Sophia badges that prove you can. It is the receipt. It's ditch the resume and own your skills.
Nice. That was lovely. And people would find out where?
So like to get in contact with me, you can go to my website at period0.ai because like I said, it's the forefront of technology. Or you can email me if you're inspired today and just want to share your story. I'd love to connect with you. You can email me at Audra at period0.ai. And we're on all those platforms. Like all those things we kind of started this conversation well, because of course you got me on the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. Carmella manages the TikTok and the Instagram, and I'm doing the old people one.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Well, and girls, if you would like to be found, how would you be found?
Oh Lord, how I want to be found? You can find me pretty much anywhere. I use the same handle for everything. It's catnip17, KATKNIP17. But yeah,
Very fun. And Chloe?
I'm not on all the platforms, but I am on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find, I think it's I don't even know, but I think it's Chloe_McMullen. And then my Facebook is just my name.
I think it's Chloe McMullen, actually,
Chloe
not have the
McMullen.
E. But if you look up Chloe, and I'm saying all of that because you're fascinating humans and you're doing fascinating things. And sometimes we need to reach out to fascinating humans doing fascinating things. So my final question, and this will be hard, but each one of you will get an answer. We're going to do Audra, Carmella, Chloe. And your final question is, if people can only remember one thing from what we talked about in this podcast, what's the one thing that you want them to walk away with today? Go ahead, Audra.
I want you to remember you matter, and you don't have to be perfect. Just get started. Take a micro step towards whatever goal that you feel for yourself, because you matter and you're important and you can.
My turn?
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. Life just moves so fast. Everyone's moving at their own pace. Just focus on what you're working on, your goals, where you are now, and where you want to see yourself, because that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, all those other people out the window.
Yeah. Well, because their definition of success and your definition of success won't necessarily be the same. And
Exactly.
we can't measure ourselves on everybody else's idea of success.
Sometimes.
All right, Chloe, bring it home.
For me, I just wish lots of people have told me this, but I wish that I had listened, that comparison is the thief of joy, and also that everybody has value to bring to the table. So maybe you don't have the years of experience, or maybe you don't have the resume list of jobs that you've had, but everyone has something to bring to the table. And if you just ask questions and share, then people can see that.
Well, wait.
Well, we need to clap that quote.
Yeah, that
Comparison is the thief of joy.
and that needs to be your takeaway today, my friends. Yes, comparison's the thief of joy. Well, but you all said brilliant things, right? So, listeners, let me wrap this in a bow for you. You need to just start. Whatever it is that you are afraid to do right now, just start, because everything that you think isn't true. So it's okay to beat yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do that thing. Life moves really fast, so focus on what you think is important and not what everybody would tell you is important. And remember that comparison is the thief of joy. Ladies, this was a genuine pleasure. I can't even put into words how honored I am to have gotten to share this space with you. And listeners, I need you to realize that this is the real life stuff that can change everything. So don't let imposter syndrome stop you. Grab a nugget or two of wisdom from this brilliant Gen X meets Gen Z experience. And I need you to take a nugget or two of wisdom and turn fun into action.